Hey there, and welcome back to Start Adventuring, a channel dedicated to empowering new roleplayers to break down their barriers and just start adventuring. I'm Baxter.
And I'm Ben. And this is a Homebrew Book Club video where Baxter and I dig into pre-written modules and get inspired, make things our own, and show that there's no right way to interpret anything when you're making your own tabletop role-playing Dungeons & Dragons game. We are continuing our Homebrew Book Club building of this Curse of Strahd campaign that Baxter and I want to co-DM. And in this video, we're going to dive into some of the changes that we made to our Big Boss Strahd stat block for this campaign.
Whoa! Before you go any further, we just want to let you know there are going to be light spoiler warnings for the Curse of Strahd, specifically the Strahd stat block and how they work within the mechanics of the game. The ones that we have done have been edited. However, we are going to talk about the originals. So if that's not something that you want to know about, or if you are a player that's going to be engaging in this, spoiler warning right here, right now. But let's get into it.
So, this is the first part of the stat block for our Empress Strahd von Zarovich. We really wanted, with this particular iteration of Strahd, a more sort of martial queen, controlling this land with an iron fist. We also wanted the feel of, big villains like the Nemesis from Resident Evil, or even we were inspired by Nightmare from Soul Calibur, this big sort of evil force of nature with a giant sword. I just kind of liked that for Strahd.
Totally, and I think other characters that come to mind that we talked about, more contemporary characters like Lady Dimitrescu from the most recent Resident Evil game, or more like old school historical figures like Joan of Arc, who was a conqueror of sorts as well. And kind of that idea, to your point, where she was more of a force to be reckoned with, an imposing person, opposed to the original Strahd, which I think is a little bit more of a trickster, kind of a Loki from the Marvel franchise, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah, so the key things that we changed at this portion are we upped the armor class to 17 and gave more hit points to Strahd, so just overall a beefier opponent that can take a bigger hit. We also switched around some of the primary stats to emphasize strength and constitution, more of a, again, martial class, kind of de-emphasizing dexterity.
Right, and even things that we talked about, too, that we could continue to edit. In the skills, proficiency in stealth could be interesting because they're a vampire, but also with this particular build that we're going for, maybe athletics makes more sense. So that's
this is very much a work in progress.
Right.
We're still editing this as even we're having this discussion, and we'd love for you to continue in the comments down below.
Yes,
Tell
please.
us kind of what you think of this build, because we're going to be continuing to edit it as we prep this campaign.
So that's the whole point of Homebrew Book Club is, having the club to talk to.
So we're moving right on to spells. We left a lot of what's already there for Strahd intact with regard to shape-changing, regeneration, the need for radiant damage in order to do sustained damage to Strahd. All of those things remained, the vampiric weaknesses. What we did change, though, pretty heavily is the spell list. We were inspired by Oath of Vengeance Paladin spells, by Hexblade Warlock spells, things like that. Again, trying to move a little bit away from Strahd as a wizard and into the idea of Strahd as a martial force. So the cantrips were changed out for, more physically damaging spells. We also threw in shield at first level because I like the idea of, even though this Strahd has a very high AC, also being able to really puff up their AC, shrug off even very high attack rolls. We also, Baxter, kind of took out some of the illusion spells that Strahd usually has, like mirror image and things like that, and replaced them with battlefield control spells. Hold person, for example, darkness to instill fear. We really wanted a commanding, powerful, scary force. Another one that I really like that's on here is Shadow of Moil, which comes, I think, out of Xanathar's. The thing about these spells is that some of them came out after the publishing of the Curse of Strahd book. So the spells from Xanathar's and from Tasha's and other books can give you cool places to go in a different direction. Shadow of Moil, for example, damages people who attack and, shrouds Strahd in a barrier of damaging shadows. It's pretty cool.
Right, and kind of to touch on something you touched on a little bit, but in keeping it, we wanted to make sure that this Strahd felt, like you said, more like a martial class, a paladin, or a conqueror of sorts, opposed to the kind of devious trickster wizard kind of a thing. But we definitely wanted to make sure that there was still elements of that vampiric kind of undertone, because that is the story of Strahd. So things like the darkness, fear, animate dead, and we even did instead of the spider climb, because we felt like this Strahd probably wouldn't be climbing all over the walls and ceiling kind of a thing. We did this improved vampiric touch, which allows, when they use vampiric touch, to grapple. And we also played around with the idea of having it have like a charge duration or a charge distance, meaning that Strahd could pick someone within 30 feet and just kind of straight charge into them and grapple them using this.
Yeah, we wanted Strahd to be able to really, really do a lot of damage to a single target with a very sort of vampire forward attack if need be. The other fun thing we did here was at 5th level, we switched out scrying for dream, just because we liked the idea of a Strahd who messes with the party not by spying on them, but by entering into their dreams to converse with them or psych them out or something like that.
Right, and I think that the main thing that came to mind for us when designing this was that we wanted to keep the essence of who Strahd was, but reimagine them in kind of some of the lesser highlighted elements of the story, i.e. the Conqueror, and kind of playing more too on the Sunblade is what it's called, correct? Like the idea that there's this sword that you need to get in order to defeat Strahd, and kind of I don't think we actually have it in this stat block, but something that we talked about was switching out the weapon for Strahd, and ours having like a big great sword to kind of try to combat or have a sword fight with this sword that the party will be wielding.
Right. Yeah, we like the idea, especially like with the Soul Calibur tie-in, because there's the Nightmare Sword and Soul Calibur, and they go up against each other. This improved vampiric touch, part of the reason why we wanted to introduce the grapple is because that, I believe, in the way that Strahd is designed, ties into the bite attack, which is obviously a sort of iconic thing for vampires. But like Baxter was saying, we didn't make any changes to Strahd's weapon. In Strahd's normal stat block, it's just an unarmed attack that he can make. We don't really like that for this martial conqueror Strahd, so we definitely will, as we expand on this, we plan on designing some kind of weapon for Strahd and some kind of mechanic or ultimate attack ability, maybe to fit into Strahd's legendary actions or something like that. So let us know in the comments down below if you have ideas for that. It could be a future video or something that we discuss in a Patreon audio.
Yeah, who knows? Well, that'll do us this time. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy what we do, go ahead and give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything that we'll be dropping. And big shout out to our founding patron, Gilbert Got a Game. Big shout out to them. If you haven't checked them out, go look them up. And also, if you want to support us over on Patreon, the link will be in the description box down below.
Yes, we are hoping to continue to expand our Adventure Starter community and what we're offering over there with bonus content and other projects moving forward for Start Adventuring. But you, who have listened to this entire video, thank you very much. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of this build. Obviously, this is still a work in progress, and as we continue with Homebrew Book Club, we're going to be looking into the realms of Barovia, into our version of Castle Ravenloft, which is also going to necessitate that we come up with some cool lair actions for Strahd, as we think about how this Empress Strahd fits on her home turf in Ravenloft. So if you have ideas for the weapon, or you have ideas for those lair actions, please let us know in the comments down below, because we're really excited to keep working on this villain and this campaign.
Yeah.
But until next time, I think that'll do it for us. I'm Ben.
And I'm Baxter. And remember, just start adventuring.
Just start adventuring.